Now this is how you do a sequel. Following on from the success of the well-received but admittedly dragged out Hitman Season 1, we have this year's Hitman 2, which brings us back into the role of Agent 47, a silent killer, infiltrating massive areas to assassinate key targets in a multitude of different ways, albeit discreet or public accident. Hitman 2 has built itself on the foundations of the previous title. So much so that you can actually access the previous game's mission straight from the main menu. This is 100% the developers telling us that this is a direct continuation of the series, as opposed to trying to completely change the sequel to be unrecognizable from its previous counterpart. A Hitman game's goal is to provide you with levels which basically function as puzzles for you to solve and explore yourself. Sure, it does have a minimal navigation system, which gives you hints of how to tackle a target, but doesn't have you constantly checking the top of your screen for what to do next. Most games nowadays always push a heavy emphasis on direct combat and have little ways of navigation in terms of a stealth approach. Hitman is all about the stealth approach. If you try and tackle any mission head on, you'll be put down within a few shots. Stealth is, in my opinion, the best and only way to play this game, and the game literally begs of you to use all of its mechanics to achieve your kill. From using coins as a distraction to lure guards, taking out that guard and using his clothing as a disguise, to then poisoning the fumigator to take out an entire guard outpost, so that you can sneak in and finish off your target without firing a single shot. This is what Hitman is about, using your brain and figuring out the best solution to take out the problem, with as minimal detection of the surrounding AI as possible. Despite having played Hitman games for years, this playstyle still is tremendously thrilling and suspenseful, as you never know if that one guard might find that they don't remember you being one of their guards, and will force you into a punishable death. Hitman 2 features 6 missions in total, on maps spread out across the globe. Each one varies from the last, and they all feature unique set pieces to finish off your enemies in style. Hitman 2 relies on the replayability of these levels, with the ability to play player created targets and also time limited events known as elusive targets. This is probably the only thing I do find a slight letdown. I would have been happier if there had been perhaps 8 to 10 maps, as 6 is not a massive amount, but they are all incredibly detailed and brimming with possibilities. I've got to remember that quantity doesn't always mean quality. The story in Hitman 2 is pretty lackluster, but I think the general consensus nowadays is that you don't play Hitman for its storytelling, as it has a negative effect on the gameplay. What I mean by this is, if you look at 2012's Hitman Absolution, that had a much more focused narrative than previous titles. But this ended up hurting the game, as mission structures, in turn, had to become more linear to accommodate for the tighter storytelling. Also, the cutscenes in the game are of a very low standard. Instead of fully fleshed out cutscenes, they are reduced to stop motion images with voiceovers. But due to IO Interactive, the company behind Hitman 2, breaking off from Square Enix, it made more sense for them to invest their resources into the actual gameplay than the CGI cutscenes. Which totally makes sense, and I'm happy with it. But for those out there who are wondering why they were of lesser quality, now you know. So, strangely enough, Hitman 2 implements 2 new game modes which are both full co-op experiences. One is Sniper Assassin, which has you and your friend perched at a distance with snipers, having to take out a multitude of enemies while remaining undetected. This mode first appeared as a single player add-on in Absolution, and then a mobile app on Android and iOS. I do really enjoy this mode, especially in co-op, as it really does require teamwork to pull off the perfect hit. The other multiplayer mode is actually a form of PvP, which is called Ghost Mode. Ghost Mode pits you and your friend in one of the levels from the campaign, where you must both assassinate random targets on the map. This mode brings an element of speed to Hitman, which has never really been seen before in previous games, as you're pitted off against your friend to assassinate the target first. I found this mode more refreshing and a more unique style of multiplayer which still stays true to the Hitman franchise. Hitman 2 is a true sequel that can stand side by side with the previous titles in the series. It's still welcoming to new players, while still being refreshing and challenging to the diehards of the series. It's been your boy TJFL, I'll catch you in the next one.